Talking with the experts.
In episode 390, my guest, James Whittaker, discusses how we can all develop resilience and win the day, whether it be in business or in our lives.
Huge. I mean, what do people want? They want coaching. They want community. They want someone to guide them. So if you can provide, for any type of business, if we sort of just whiteboard just a basic business that someone could create right now, it would be what's something that can scale. Well, you could produce an online course or just some way of delivering the value and the steps that people need to go on to get that result. And then if you want to charge a premium for that, that's when you can add in coaching, like one-on-one access to you or other people that you have as part of your team. And then community is the other thing that you can provide. So if you can provide them one result, but there are three different ways to get there through the things that you offer. There's the do it yourself, do it together, or the done for you packages. That's how you can have a three-tier price offering to provide an enormous amount of value to give someone the transformation, and ask them once you've done really well, ask for testimonials, ask for 2 or 3 people or 1 or 2 people in their network who they feel like would be a great fit for the service.
Talking with the experts.
Talking with the experts would love to acknowledge Global Glamping Charities Incorporated for generously supporting this podcast. Global Glamping Charities, solving homelessness in all of its forms. Reach out to them at globalglamping.org.
Welcome to Talking with the Experts. This is where we discuss great ideas to take your business to the next level. How do we know these ideas work? Well, it's because we're talking with business owners who are using these ideas. Business owners who have years of experience and expertise. All things business by business owners for business owners. And now, here is your host, Rose Davidson.
Hello and welcome to Talking with the Experts. I'm your host, Rose Davidson from rosedavidson.com. Talking with the Experts is about all things business by business owners for business owners. You can find it on all good podcasting streaming platforms and on YouTube. And today it's my very great pleasure to introduce you to James Whittaker. Now, James, I've been chasing around for a bit and he's graciously accepted my invitation. And a little bit about James is he's a 3-time best-selling author, award-winning entrepreneur, the host of Win the Day with James Whittaker podcast. He has helped thousands of people in over 20 countries to win the day. And if you haven't visited his Facebook page, I surely would do that if I were you. And he helps these people every day and has personally coached Olympic gold medalists, billion-dollar CEOs, and special forces operators. His superpower is helping ambitious but frustrated people gain immediate clarity on what they want and give them a bulletproof plan to achieve it. He is the author of the Napoleon Hill Foundation, a speaker with Success Magazine, an executive producer of the multi-million-dollar Think and Grow Rich film. Wow, I didn't know that, James. Welcome so much. Welcome for being here, and thank you so much for joining me.
Well, it's so great to see you, Rose. Thanks so much for having me on, of having such a great podcast.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify, how did you get into doing what you're doing, and why is Win the Day so important? I mean, I love the Facebook page and I love what you do and and how you help people win the day, but what got you into that?
Yeah, good question. I really feel like for the first 23 years of my life, I just had no intent over what I was doing. And as a result of that, I was just drifting wherever the flow was going to take me. And you never end up in a good destination if that's what you got, if that's the direction that you're heading in. So I didn't care about what food I put into my body. I didn't care about what I was drinking. I didn't care who I was hanging around. I didn't care about my own development. I was just trying to put one foot in front of the other, wherever that would spin me. And unfortunately, I had a lot of, well, not unfortunately, because I feel like, you and I often talk about resilience. The gift of the adversity that you have in your life is a really interesting thing. And I had a pretty debilitating anxiety battle that manifested in a whole bunch of different ways, but mainly later in high school and at the start of university. And that was a really big turning point for me, where I reached a point where I'm like, I'm in absolute disgust with what I saw in the mirror. I reached a point where I'm like, look, there has to be a better way. If I'm really going to have this one life that I've got, I've got a great family that I came from. I live in Brisbane, Australia, beautiful city, went to a good school. I had every single advantage that anyone could ever want. And I described this actually in an article, that I was a malfunctioned human destined for the scrap heap, because that's exactly how I felt. And that was a huge turning point for me, where I was like, enough is enough. I can't do this anymore. And that's really where I planted a flag for the very first time and said, look, here I am, life, come and get me, because I'm not wavering from this path. And that was the moment where I took the first step to consuming everything that I could find on psychology, peak performance, resilience, relationships, health, all of these different aspects of what it would take to be a successful person I wanted to be around. That was a journey that started for me 16 years ago. And the reason I do what I do is because I see so many people, they have everything already, but they have not found the confidence or the plan or the relationships to unearth the brilliance they have inside them. So that's what I do. I help people find the brilliance inside you, rather than trying to convince you that you need to go and buy some $100,000 product or take some pill to be the brilliant you. I just tell you, look, you've already got everything you need to succeed. We just need a few little tweaks to make that happen.
And everyone has their own brilliance in some shape or form. And, sometimes it takes another person to actually drag that out of them. And especially if you don't have a clear path.
It's so true. And I was writing something today where it was someone shared that example of, it was actually Bob Proctor, who everyone knows from the movie The Secret, sadly passed away not long ago. But the biggest turning point for him was when someone believed in him more than he believed in himself, handed him a copy of a book and just said, read this, your life will change. That book was Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And Bob Proctor read that book for 55 years until he passed away, every single day. And that's what it is. You don't notice something new in the book. You notice something new in yourself every time you have repeated readings of a really valuable resource, like a personal development book or wherever you find your inspiration. But being the mentor or guide to see the potential in someone when they don't see it in themselves is very, very important to have those people around you, because every single person on the planet, our motivation will inevitably start to wane at some stage. It does for me, it does for everyone. That's when we fall back to process. What's the process that you have to be able to get the most out of every day? And that's really what the win the day mentality means. I have this win the day written here on my intent bracelet. For people listening to this, I literally have a bracelet that's got win the day written on it. I look at it every single morning as I step into a cold shower and acknowledge that the day is there to be won or lost. I'm going to win the day. What does that day look like? And I have a plan every single day. And that's what I like to help other people do.
Yeah, I've got a really good friend. She sees things in me that I don't see, and she always comments and says, "Rose, why are you doing that? You're so much better than what you give yourself credit for." So I've got to thank her. She's wonderful, and she keeps me on the straight and narrow.
It's so having those people, it's the people who believe in you and who can see the potential in you and who are willing to help you. Anyone out there who's a business owner, you might have reached a point where you launch your business and all of a sudden you think, look, at least I've got all my friends and family who are going to become customers or clients of mine. They're nowhere to be found for the most part as soon as you launch that thing. That's where you just need to have just your own executive committee, your own leadership team, your own management board, your board of directors who can help you in all of those different areas of your life. And that's really the core essence of a mastermind group. And that's what you need to have. That's what I've had. I formed one when I was 23 years old after that had happened. And I've had informal mastermind groups that I've been a part of ever since. I've run my own mastermind group, sort of like a high ticket thing that I'm not doing at the moment. And I just came back from a mastermind that I attended. I just wrote an article about it on LinkedIn, actually, about the lessons that I got from attending this mastermind with high-level entrepreneurs in Texas. The right people around you is absolutely critical. I mean, the wrong people will bring you down, just as the right people will lift you up.
Yeah, and we, before we came on today, we were discussing that resilience in business, especially in these horrible economic times and the uncertainty of where the world is heading. How can we build resilience as business owners, especially when you're just starting out and you're full of confidence, but something goes pear-shaped and you just don't know where to turn. How can we build the resilience to keep going?
Recessions like we're in now are the breeding grounds for solutions and for value to be created. And money is just a product of the value that we create in the marketplace for other people. So we know that there are people who are facing a lot more adversity and hardship and misfortune at the moment. They have a lot of problems. You need to lean into those problems, lean into the pain, talk to people who have the problems that you're passionate about creating solutions for and learning more about those different things. And if you can have enough conversations with enough people, focus on doing the reps, on getting out there, learning so much about the problem and the pain point and talk about that rather than yourself. Like, bad marketing is about you and your product. Good marketing is about your customer and their transformation and their journey. So that's what you need to do. You need to get very clear on who it is that you want to serve, what are the problems that they have, and what solutions can you offer to move them out of those different things. Another quote that's a favorite of mine is that price is only an issue in the absence of value. If I said to you, I'll give you $1 million tomorrow, all you have to do is give me $10,000 now, you would do that any day of the week. But you need to be able to communicate how you're actually going to get someone from the pain point that they're in to give them the hope and almost as much certainty as you possibly can. Obviously, a lot of work is required to get there. You need to show them, you need to demonstrate to them the journey so they can believe it, they can have the confidence that they can go on that journey and they can see the value over and above what you're providing. But for people who aren't clear on the problems, they don't really know their ideal client at all, they're trying to speak to anyone, or the people who aren't doing the reps, the activities of every single day, picking up the phone, sending text messages, sending audio messages, sending emails. What are you doing to prioritize business development and business growth? If you do those things, the downturn that we're in at the moment is your biggest opportunity. It's your biggest opportunity, bar none, especially at a time when you can build a business remotely without spending a dime.
Yeah, I'm hearing what you're saying. I think recessions are a good time for innovation. People seem to be able to pull things out of thin air and create, new type businesses and new type products and new type services, because the old doesn't serve any longer, and you need to look for something new.
Huge. I mean, what do people want? They want coaching. They want community. They want someone to guide them. So if you can provide, for any type of business, if we sort of just whiteboard just a basic business that someone could create right now, it would be, what's something that can scale? Well, you could produce an online course or just some way of delivering the value and the steps that people need to go on to get that result. And then if you want to charge a premium for that, that's when you can add in coaching, like one-on-one access to you or other people that you have as part of your team. And then community is the other thing that you can provide. So if you can provide them one result, but there are 3 different ways to get there through the things that you offer. There's the do it yourself, do it together, or the done for you packages. That's how you can have a 3-tier price offering to provide an enormous amount of value to give someone the transformation. And ask them, once you've done really well, ask for testimonials, ask for 2 or 3 people or 1 or 2 people in their network who they feel like would be a great fit for the services that you provide, or who are experiencing the pain that they were experiencing before they came into your life. Would they feel comfortable providing an introduction and follow up from there? But we have these limiting beliefs, Rose. All of us have these limiting beliefs, and it's actually harder to unlearn what we have in our brain than it is to learn new things. That's the big thing for people, and that's where having, I guess, the theme of what we've spoken about so far, which is really my favorite thing to talk about, is relationships and assembling that group of people who can raise your idea of what's possible and get you there faster than you ever thought possible. That just changes everything.
Yeah, community is really important, and we, as business owners, tend to forget that importance of building the community around us, and filling those voids that customers and clients are looking for.
Yeah, it's so true. And there's so many different types, like different aspects of community too. I mean, there are people out there who have absolutely no idea who you are. They need to be educated on the work that you do and who you help. There are people out there who know what you do, but you haven't demonstrated that you're ready to provide them the transformation. That's a different educational piece, a different step that you can provide. And then there are people out there who say, yes, I know who you are, I know what you do. And they're the people who are ideally the ones that are searching for your name rather than Googling the problem. If they're searching for the problem, then they're going to compare you based on a whole bunch of different people. But if they're searching you by name, that's when you can charge a premium because you're not a commodity. They're searching for you because they know that you're the right person for the job.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, I know when I do Google searches for whatever, I will probably look. Well, I do most times look for something that a name that I recognize, a business that I recognize, rather than scrolling down to the bottom of the first page and clicking on that link because I've not heard of them. I'm not sure what they provide and if they can help me.
For sure. And if you, there's a misconception at the moment in the social media world that you need to be producing the most amazing content and just putting it out there. It's not the case. You just need to have good content going out there at a very high volume, at a very high frequency. It's much better to have a monstrous, like a really high frequency of content going out there all the time that's not perfect. People are moving away from the Photoshopped and, the Kardashian, all those different things. People want authenticity. It's easier to pick up a phone now and record a quick selfie video or release clips from a podcast, which is something that's given me, it's really been the foundation of how I've got, more than 10 million views on my podcast and social media views from that type of thing is taking out those clips. Good content at a very high frequency beats perfect content that gets released sparingly, because when we have that focus on the perfect content, we need everything to be ready to need everything to be ready to go. I mean, I have lights on here, I've got a professional mic and everything else, but I could turn all that off if we wanted and still produce the content. I turn them on because it takes me 2 seconds to do it, but you just need to be able to get content out there. So then you build trust and you build presence. So when someone is ready to buy or someone has that urgent pain point that they want a solution for, you're the first person that they think of.
Yeah, when I first started this podcast, there's so much information out there. It was overwhelming. And, so I just decided to do it myself and, bugger what everyone else, all the gurus were saying. Because I thought, well, if it's all very well to listen to or read what they have to say, but you've got to trial and error it yourself. Otherwise, you're not going to know where the errors are and what suits you, because what they recommend or what they suggest may not suit your personality, might not suit your business, might not suit whatever it is that you're trying to do. So sometimes it's just better to go with your gut and just follow your heart and just go for it.
Yeah, experience isn't the best teacher, it's the only teacher. I don't know who said that, but I heard it a few years ago and I love that one so much. You definitely need to get your hands dirty doing those things. And a lot of service providers, they're so transactional. They make it look like they're interested in the transformation, but all they're really interested in is the transaction. So when they have your money, to them, the job is done. And then the person gets obviously feeling very underwhelmed and very frustrated at the situation. So if you can focus on delivering the transformation, and that all starts from asking a lot of questions. You see people like Tony Robbins do this really well. They ask question after question after question after question. And what they're doing is they're honing in on exactly what the problem is. And only then, when they're very clear on the problem, can they offer a solution. But so many people are busy trying to ram their solution down someone else's throat.
Yeah, I think I read something recently that a transaction shouldn't be about the money. It should be about the experience that you're giving your client. And to me, that's, I've always wanted to give my clients or my guests or whoever I'm dealing with an experience rather than looking at the money side of things. And when I was speaking to a mutual acquaintance of ours last week, he was saying about, we were talking about community and how, you shouldn't start a podcast because if you're looking for money, don't worry, do it because you want to build a community. And I think that as business owners, we need to, and go back to what we were saying before about community is really important. Not just family and friends, but, your community includes your clients and includes your prospective clients.
Yeah, it does. And look, there's 3 things. I actually heard this at the mastermind that I was at in Texas last week. And I was talking about there are three things that you can focus on, and you can't focus on all three at the same time. Otherwise, it's going to be ineffective. But to be really effective, there's only three. He called it was from Roy H. Williams. It was talking about there's only three ways for your purpose, and it's name, wanting to build a name; money, wanting to earn as much money as you can; or it's impact, have as much impact as you can. But if you focus on all of those things, you're going to be ineffective at all of those different things. So you can focus all your resources on building a name. Once you've built the name, the money and the impact will follow. Or you can focus all your money on or you can focus all your efforts on the money. And once you've got the money, that enables you to build your name and build the impact from there. Or you can do the same with impact. So I just thought that was really interesting, because when we divide and conquer our attention and our energy, we wonder why we're sort of treading water and spinning our wheels a bit. I could just see even the things that I've just done on TikTok in the last 6 months, just focusing on that. It's really interesting to see that the impact and the name of it's really just focused on the win the day mentality and putting that out there on TikTok. And that has led to a lot of opportunities to grow my name and grow the revenue sources from there as well. But if I was focused on all three, I would be woefully ineffective at all of those things. And I mean, especially people who are parents, like I have two kids now. We've got a beautiful 10-month-old son and a gorgeous 3.5-year-old daughter who's full of energy. I mean, when you have kids, your whole idea of a good routine goes out the window for a few years, I've realized. So all that stuff is a struggle. We only get X amount of hours in a day. We need to make sure that we're optimizing those things rather than just focusing on emails and other people's agenda for our day.
Yeah, it's like when you're learning, you become an athlete. You focus on the skill that you need to be proficient in that particular field of athletics. So you don't learn to be a runner, and go and do all the weights and things and concentrate on weight building, on muscle building, because that's not what you want to be. You want to be a runner.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm having senior moments lately. I don't know why.
Hey, I'm 39. I feel like I have them all the time too.
You're a baby.
Yeah, exactly. 9 months or 10 months of sleep deprivation, I think, might have something to do with it.
I think it might do too. Yeah, my first grandchild's due in a couple of weeks. I can't wait, but I'm
amazing.
feeling sorry for my son and his partner, because sleep for.
Yeah, it's a great journey, isn't it? Having kids, it's massively elevates your stress and everything else, but the love and kindness, just being able to observe the world through a child's eyes is an incredible gift, and something I just love every day.
Yeah, it is. It is a gift to have children. They teach us so much about ourselves that we didn't even know we knew or didn't know.
Yeah, for sure.
James, where can people find you if they would like to win the day?
Yes, you can Instagram. I'm hanging out a little bit there at the moment. So James Whitt is my handle. We should have the Win the Day Instagram handle coming very, very soon as well. Or my website, jameswhitt.com. Anything I can do to help, just let me know. I have a link in my bio on Instagram. It's got a whole bunch of free resources and things on there. So you can just go and download those. If anyone wants some help, or if I can do anything, just let me know. I'm happy to help as much as I can.
Terrific. And tell me just a little bit about the movie, Think and Grow Rich.
So Think and Grow Rich, released in 1937, written by Napoleon Hill, became the best-selling self-help book of all time. It sold more than 120 million copies around the world. All over the world too. It's a real global phenomenon, but they'd never made a movie about it before. So I was asked to come on board as executive producer of the film, which was called Think and Grow Rich, The Legacy. And I also wrote the book called Think and Grow Rich, The Legacy that we released alongside it. So that's where I had the opportunity to interview people like Sharon Lechter, who wrote all the Rich Dad, Poor Dad books with Robert Kiyosaki, Janine Shepherd, our fellow Aussie, who's an amazing woman, who's got the best TED Talk you've ever seen. Janine Shepherd has become a very close friend of mine, and a whole bunch of other high-profile people like Barbara Corcoran from Shark Tank and Rob Dyrdek from about 10 different TV shows, and so many other people. So the opportunity to be able to interview them was incredible. So the Think and Grow Rich, The Legacy book, which is sitting up here somewhere behind me on the bookshelf, is really a collection of short stories, because people remember stories and they're also more enjoyable to get through. That way it's a companion to the original Think and Grow Rich rather than a substitute. People like John Lee Dumas, he was someone I interviewed. He launched Entrepreneurs on Fire and has made more than $20 million from his podcast in 6 years. So the book, reveals the steps on how he was able to go about doing that. When he was a military veteran, he'd come back from the war in the Middle East and was completely floundering and had no idea what to do. So they're the stories that are in there. And then the movie, the movie's different because it's got some dramatic reenactments of some of the most famous and memorable stories from Think and Grow Rich, like 3 Feet from Gold. And it's also got interviews with a lot of these people, but it just doesn't go into as much detail as the book can, just because of, we've only got 2 hours on the screen,
yes,
and infinite number of words in the book.
Wonderful. All right. And where can people find the book, James?
Yeah, Amazon. Amazon's probably the best bet. It is in a bunch of stores. But yeah, go to Amazon, Think and Grow Rich, The Legacy. And I also had a one that came out fairly recently called Andrew Carnegie's Mental Dynamite. That was actually co-authored with Napoleon Hill. It was an unreleased Napoleon Hill manuscript that the Napoleon Hill Foundation asked me to come and annotate and add to. So that's another good one that people can check out.
Well done. Thank you for sharing that. James, what words of wisdom would you share with somebody who's just starting out on business?
Oh, just starting out on business. I feel like I could write a whole series on that one, Rose. Just starting out in business, I so much about success is really two things. It's finding someone who has the success you want and just doing exactly what they tell you. There are some situations where you have to pay to be in those situations. But I mean, I am very happy to do that. I actually enjoy doing that because it's a bit different there. Someone's going to really take it seriously if you've paid for that, rather than feeling bad if you're following someone up if they're not doing anything, if there's no money changing hands. So first one is finding out a mentor or someone who has the success you want and doing exactly what they tell you, and also just recognizing that success in business and in life is simply a matter of figuring out what tasks need to be done and just executing on those tasks. That's all it is. But if you haven't read the right books and if you don't have the right relationships to figure out exactly what tasks it is that you need to do, and you don't have the resourcefulness and resilience to be able to complete those tasks, then you're not going to be able to get them done. So I know it's a simple thing to say, and it's a simple thing to understand, but it's a lot harder to implement. So just simplify what it is that you want, and just, focus on that resourcefulness and resilience. No matter where you grew up, no matter what education you have or what you don't have, no one cares. All that matters is the value that you can provide for other people, and just focus on winning the day.
Absolutely. I love that. That's wonderful. James, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me today. And I look forward to talking with you again soon.
Thanks so much, Rose.
You've been listening to Talking with the Experts, hosted by Rose Davidson. Make sure you have a look at our back catalogue over at talkingwiththeexperts.com. And be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss out on any episode. We look forward to your company next time. Talking with the Experts.